Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attendance on this morning's MTDfVAT webinar. My name is Daniel Keane, and I'll be spending the next 30 minutes with you discussing a little bit about our software, and we're also going to take a look at a demonstration of the solution as well. Please do use your GoToMeeting panel on the right-hand side to ask any questions that you do have, and there will be a question and answer session at the end. So if you do have any questions, please ask them throughout the webinar. You're more than welcome to use that questions box, and then I'll be staying at the end for some of those questions and answers. But if we get on with the presentation. So firstly, we're going to take a look at a little bit about what we're looking at in terms of an agenda here. So the first slide that we've got is now that Making Tax Digital is live. As we know, it went live 1st of April 2019. How is that going to impact your business? We're also going to look at who is our solution for. The solution overview, so a demonstration of the software. We'll look at some pricing, and then, as I've already mentioned, there's some questions at the end. Okay, so MTD and the impact on your business. Now, I'm sure you're all really familiar with MTD and the implications and changes that have been made. As we know, in 2015, when George Osborne announced Making Tax Digital, originally what we started with was a quarterly self-assessment tax return. Now, obviously, that's been pushed back, and what we're left with is a quarterly or monthly VAT return to be submitted via the new MTD method. So if you have a turnover of above £85,000, you're going to have to comply with the recent changes. Now, those are businesses must keep VAT records digitally. So either that's going to be within a spreadsheet, or that's going to be in some sort of finance or bookkeeping package. Now, that's obviously going to improve the access that HMRC has to businesses' financial data. And importantly, kind of the real point of MTD is that it's going to reduce the errors that are currently made when businesses submit their VAT returns through the gov.uk website. So HMRC reckon it's going to save them £8 million. Now, at the bottom there, returns must be sent via MTD compliant software. So rather than submitting paper returns at the end of the year, or what you might be doing is keying the figures into the gov.uk website, individuals and businesses are going to submit their digital tax returns on a quarterly or monthly basis through HMRC accredited software. So that's where we're going to come in as a bridging solution. And the idea of this is going to make it easier to plan, account for, and obviously pay that tax owed. Okay, so we're going to take a look at who is our solution for versus who is our solution not for. So we'll start on the left-hand side here. If you're not currently using bookkeeping software, if you keep manual records and you're looking to comply with Making Tax Digital, the easiest way for you is going to use a spreadsheet, which we'll come on to. If you're not using MTD compliant bookkeeping software, if you're using Microsoft Excel spreadsheets to build up the VAT return detail, and this kind of links in with the third point that we've got there. If you don't want to upgrade existing bookkeeping and accounting software. So if you're using maybe an older version of a bookkeeping package and you don't want to upgrade to the latest version, which probably has more functionality than you necessarily need and is going to cost an arm and a leg, you can keep familiar with a solution that you're using that you're happy with and use bridging software to bridge the gap between non-MTD compliant software and submitting MTD compliant returns. So we're going to look at a few different methods, a couple of methods today, in relation to how we can bring the VAT return detail from spreadsheets would be the first one, and then also finance packages, bookkeeping packages, maybe an ERP solution that isn't going to be MTD compliant. Now, on the right-hand side there, who is our solution not for? So those of you who are maybe groups, you're a large business with over a £2 million turnover, you need more than one user. So we'll come on to that. MTDfVAT covers only one user, and it will cover only one VAT registration number, and it's email support only. So if you're maybe not too technical and you require telephone support, and again, we'll come on to this, we have a bigger brother product to MTDfVAT called BTCHub. Now, BTCHub will allow you to file multiple VAT returns. So either if you're an accountant in practice, or you're a business with multiple VAT registration numbers, or you're a business owner and you have multiple businesses, BTCHub is going to be the version for you and not MTDfVAT. Also, if you've got more than one user, so if you've got multiple users. You can have up to 5 with BTCHub, and then obviously, as I mentioned, the telephone support is another key one there as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at a demonstration of the MTDfVAT solution. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tab out of my spreadsheet, and I'm going to move into my web browser. Now, MTDfVAT does sit within our web browser. It's going to work on every web browser that you have, apart from Internet Explorer. And the reason it doesn't work on Internet Explorer is Microsoft have stopped updating that software now. So it's going to be on Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and if you're a Mac user, it's going to work on Safari as well. Now, there are a number of advantages of having a web browser-based platform. It's what's known as a software as a service solution. So all of your data is stored securely in 2 UK-based Amazon data centers. And that gives you the advantage of being able to log in from anywhere. You're always going to have the most up-to-date version, and you don't have to worry about backing up your software. If anything were to happen to your laptop, your machine, all of your data is stored securely in the cloud for you. So you're all good to go. Now, once you've set up your email and password, you can log into the software. And as I log in here, I'll give you kind of a walkthrough in terms of what we're looking at. Brilliant. Now we can see the user in the top right-hand corner, the notification bell. As I mentioned, the software is going to automatically update. So if there's updates, new features maybe that have been added into the software, will notify you of those through the notification bell. You've got the help menu here, which is going to offer you the email in order to email the support team. You've got the home page on the left-hand side, which is where you're going to enter your details. Now, this is important to mention. There's actually 2 versions of MTDfVAT. You've got the version for individuals, so for sole traders. So you're going to have a forename and a surname. And then you have the version for businesses. So instead of a forename and surname, you're going to have a company name and company type. So whether you're a limited company, a partnership, trust, and so on. Now, also what we have is the VAT dashboard, which is where we're going to get to that 9-box VAT return. So that's an important menu that we've got there. And then at the bottom, we've got the download. So you've got the quick start guide, which is a step-by-step tutorial on how to use the software. Now, for those of you who are spreadsheet users, this is where you're going to download the MTD Excel add-in for Windows. So it's going to work on anything from Excel 2007 and upwards for Windows users. And if you're a Mac user, it's going to work from 2016 and upwards. Now, also at the bottom here, we've got the download MTD Excel template. Now, what the template is, which we'll actually take a look at in a second, I'm using the template as my example, is we've developed a template for you to be fully MTD compliant past April 2020. Now, it's much easier for me to explain the template by showing it to you. So I'm going to move into the template at the bottom here. Now, the first worksheet that I have within the template is my quick start guide, which is basically an instruction manual on how to use the template. You've got a VAT return summary, which clearly lists the 14 boxes that we need to have somewhere within our spreadsheet. So if you're not using our template, ensure that you have this information somewhere within either one or multiple spreadsheets. And then we've got this underlying data here. So we've got boxes 1 and 6, which covers sales and other outputs. 2 and 9, which is EC acquisitions. 4 and 7, which is purchases and other inputs. And 6 and 8, which is EC sales. Now, essentially what we're doing here with the template is we're keying in our transactions. So we're keying in our sales in here. We're listing the totals. And it's keeping a total amount for the net up at the top here. And then the VAT. And that net amount and VAT amount is feeding directly into this VAT return summary. So it's working out all of the figures there for you, and it's digitally linked so that you're going to be compliant past April 2020. Now, for the soft landing period, essentially what you could do is you could key this information in here manually with no digital links. But after the soft landing period, so after the first year, after April 2020, HMRC are looking for these cells to be digitally linked, so you can see within my formula bar, so that if HMRC were to review your spreadsheet, they'd be happy to kind of find out exactly how you worked out these figures, so where these figures have derived from. Now, if you're using our template, it's doing this all for you, so you're going to be fully MTD compliant. But if you're using your own template, your own spreadsheets, just make sure that you've got the formulas in there that digitally link these cells after the soft landing period. Now, once you've built up this information here, now obviously these first 4 boxes that we can see here, the business name, VAT registration number, and the period dates can be typed in manually. What we're doing here is we're downloading the add-in, which you can see in the top left-hand corner of my screen. So we've got MTDfVAT in the left and BTCHub in the right. Now, the first option that we have within the add-in is to define the VAT range. Now, if you're using the template, you don't even have to worry about this option because this add-in knows exactly where the cells are within our template. The important thing here is if you're using your own template, you're using your own spreadsheets, or you're receiving a spreadsheet from your client, what's important is you need to tell this add-in in the top left-hand corner where these cells are found within your spreadsheet. And it's really nice and easy. All you're doing is you're selecting the first cell. So you might have the business name over here. You might have the VAT registration number over here. You might have the period date over here. It doesn't have to be in any specific format, and it can be picked up from multiple spreadsheets, but it does need to be picked up in order of business name to the 9th VAT total. So that's kind of the key takeaway there. It needs to be taken from the business name to the 9th VAT total. Now, another handy thing with the VAT range here is if you've got those cells appearing within the same places every time you produce your quarterly VAT return spreadsheet or monthly, you can save the VAT range so that next time when you use that template again, this add-in already knows where those cells are because you've defined the VAT range previously. Now, once you've told the add-in where the cells appear within your spreadsheet, you can show the VAT range, which highlights the VAT return detail. So you can see clearly which boxes of the book contain the information that we're looking to bring from the spreadsheet into MTDfVAT. And then what we would do is we'd use the API that we've built within this add-in, within both add-ins, to talk directly to the product. So again, it's not any sort of copy and paste method that's going to expire past the soft landing period. It's a digital link. It's a digital API that's going to make you fully compliant past April 2020. And as we know, there's no expiry date to bridging software. There's kind of a common misconception at the moment that bridging software will not be compliant past April 2020, which absolutely isn't the case. I must stress that there's no expiry date for bridging software. Now, to show you that API, what we're going to do is we're going to log out of MTDfVAT altogether. And I'm even going to close my tab down. So I'm going to go back out into my spreadsheet. Now, I've already told the add-in where the cells are within my spreadsheet, so I don't need to define the VAT range. So all that's left for me to do is export the MTDVAT data. It's going to open up MTDfVAT in my default browser. For me, it's Chrome. I can log in. And then it's going to take me to where I can log in for the first time to HMRC. Now, I must stress this is really, really important. Whichever software you're using, even if you're using maybe a bookkeeping package, whichever, you as a business need to sign up to MTDVAT filing. Now, that can be done on the gov.uk website, and we also have a YouTube video that explains it on our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel is a really, really good source of information in terms of looking at tutorial style videos, informative videos, and then also pre-recorded webinars as well. So today's webinar, there is a pre-recorded version, and you can find that on my YouTube channel. And quite a really good sort of useful video is the video that takes you through the sign-up process to sign your business up to Making Tax Digital VAT filing. So that is really important. You will need to do that as a business to use any sort of software and to file MTD VAT returns. If you don't do that, the MTD VAT returns aren't going to be accepted. So what we're going to do, following that we've signed the business up to Making Tax Digital VAT filing, we're going to proceed here to HMRC to manage the VAT return. So I can click OK. It's going to open up my HMRC option, so I can continue. I've got the instructions here on about what we're about to do. Now, this is also important. You would only have to do this, and I'm going to highlight this here, once every 18 months. So you're only having to sign into HMRC once every 18 months. So this isn't the process every time you produce a VAT return. It's just for the first time. So it's just once every 18 months. So then we can continue. We can sign in here using our government gateway ID and password. Now this being test data, I'm here using test credentials. So I can sign in. We can grant authority to view and change the VAT return information. And there you go, it's populated our VAT return. It's picked up the correct period here because we've signed into HMRC, so it knows which period we're working on. And it's populated our VAT return with the figures that were found within that spreadsheet. Now, this being an HMRC sandbox environment, I've only got 2 obligations here, but you would have 4 to represent 4 quarters, and the software will deal with monthly VAT returns as well. Now, also after you start submitting those first MTD VAT returns, what you'll also see is the liabilities and payments showing from prior periods on the right-hand side here. So there we go. Now we've taken a look at how we can import the figures from a spreadsheet into this 9-box VAT return to submit to HMRC. The second option that we're going to take a look at now is how we can bring our figures from a finance solution, an ERP solution, CRM solution, or a bookkeeping package into a 9-box VAT return within our software to ensure that you're submitting an MTD VAT return that's going to be compliant, because you're unable to do that with your existing software. Now, there's a couple of different methods. The easiest one, and the first one that I'm going to mention, is to save the VAT return detail in your software package as a CSV file. Now, once you've done that, you can choose the import option. You can select CSV from the drop-down, or if you're using one of the bookkeeping packages that we've got listed there, you can use those as well. I'll show you an example here with Sage. I can browse for my file. Now I have a Sage file here. This one's been exported from Sage Line 50. We've also got one from Accounts 50. And we've tested many of the different Sage files. So I'm sure if you're, whichever version of Sage you're using, you should be fine using our software. You can see there it's being saved as a comma separated values file, so a CSV file. I can open that up. You can see we get a nice green box up at the top saying that the data is valid within that CSV file. And what we'll see now is the information found within that file is going to import over the top of the information that we have, that we've brought in from the spreadsheet. So what we'll see is these figures change from the information that's found within the CSV. So if I choose OK, there you go. So you can see my figures have just changed there. Now, in the same way that we can't manually key the figures directly into these boxes, we can't manually adjust them. So how we would amend them is we can always save it and come back to it at a later stage by choosing the edit option. And as you've just seen me done there, we would re-import over the top of the figures that we've got, whether that's using a spreadsheet or whether that's using the CSV file. Now, if you're unable to export a CSV file out of your bookkeeping package or software solution, what you can do is export the VAT return detail out into a spreadsheet and then use the spreadsheet to define where the cells are, as we saw in the first example, and then use the API and the add-in within the spreadsheet to transfer the figures in here. So we've always got a solution. Even if you're worried about the software package that you've got, there's always going to be an option for you to use our software and become MTD compliant. Now, once you've populated the figures here, the next thing to do is to choose the submit option. Confirm we've read the above legal direct declaration and have the authority to submit the VAT return. And now if we successfully submit the VAT return to HMRC, we'll see this red obligation here, our open obligation, change to a nice green box, and our status will change from open to fulfilled. And then we can take a look at the submission receipt. So if I choose OK, we'll submit that now to HMRC. There you go. I've got my nice green box. The status is fulfilled, and I can view the submission receipt, which will show me my receipt ID, correlation ID, and then the exact date and time to the second that that was submitted to HMRC. Now, on our live version, this is downloadable as a PDF as well. So we understand that with Making Tax Digital, HMRC won't or will no longer be sending VAT confirmation emails when you submit a Making Tax Digital VAT return. So the submission receipt will be found within our software. So there we go. Okay, so that's going to draw a conclusion to the demonstration of the product. I'm going to tab back out into the PowerPoint now, and we'll take a look at some pricing. So the pricing of MTDfVAT is £50 plus VAT annually, and that will cover one VAT registration number only. We've got a software as a service cloud solution. It covers both the Excel and bookkeeping functionality. You've got one user, email support, enhanced functionality throughout, and obviously all of your data is secured in those 2 UK-based Amazon data centers. Now we'll also take a look at the pricing for BTCHub. So if you've looked at the software today and realized that MTDfVAT is not what you need, it's a kind of a smaller solution based for those small businesses and individuals. The pricing for BTCHub is £250 plus VAT per annum, and that will give you multiple VAT returns, the software as a service cloud solution, both the Excel and bridging solution, 5 users. You've got additional functionality in there in relation to reports. You've got both telephone and email support, enhanced functionality throughout the UK Amazon database, and obviously the client centralized database. So all of your clients or all of your businesses, if you're a group or have multiple businesses, will be in the one place. And as I've mentioned here, so BTCHub over MTDfVAT, if you're an industry accountant or a business owner with more than one VAT registration number, or maybe a group, or your revenue exceeds 10 million, or you have more than one user requirement, multiple sites, and you need telephone support, so BTCHub is going to be the product for you. Now, if you are interested in purchasing MTDfVAT, all the purchasing is done through our website. And you're more than welcome, please do tick the webinar option on the how did you find out about us section on the checkout page, and then we can further identify your order. So it's all done through our website. This is our website here, www.mtdfvat.co.uk. You can choose the order now option, select whether you're a company or you're filing as a sole trader. And you've got the webinar option here on the how did you find out about us section of the checkout page. Okay, now there's some contact details here as well. So if you do have any questions, we will have some question and answers at the end, but if I don't go through your questions, you're more than welcome to contact sales@mtdfvat.co.uk or visit the website. And if you're interested in BTCHub, you've got sales at BTC Software and btcsoftware.co.uk. Now, I will leave that up at the end as well. So if you wanted to take notes or screenshots of those, you're more than welcome to. Brilliant. So that's going to draw a conclusion to this morning's webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance. We've got